Hey everyone, welcome to another Commander Deck Tech. It's still Halloween month, so I figured let's have a Commander deck that's a bit more, I guess, on theme. Curses are kind of like Halloween-y, right? It all fits under that big umbrella of scary things. And when I saw Lynde, Cheerful Tormentor, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing Lynde correctly, but whatever, spoiled, I was like, okay, well, now I guess curses are definitely a thing in Commander. I mean, there were always curses decks and enchantment decks in the past, but now I think Lynde gives that a bit more support. So let's, read Lynde really carefully here. Lynde, Cheerful Tormentor for a colorless blue, black and red. It's a 2/4 with Death Touch. Whenever a curse is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return it to the battlefield attached to you at the beginning of the next end step, which means if your curses fall off because your opponents died or they got destroyed for whatever reason, well, they come back and you get to redistribute them at the beginning of your upkeep. So that's always nice. I mean, you definitely need a recycling effect, and there are other recycling effects or duplicating effects in this deck, but Lynde essentially offers you an additional one, and you could keep casting her back over and over and over again as she dies inevitably during the game. So before we get to the list, really quick, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button down below and that like button as well. I'd really appreciate your support. At least half of you aren't subscribed when you're watching my videos, so your support really does go a long way. It's not just a number, it helps others find my channel, so thank you. Alright, the list, here we go. Let me know what you think about presenting a commander list this way. Of course, as with all my deck techs, there's a link in the description of this video, so you could actually see it a bit more easily, where we're, outside of this video, so check that out. But here we go. As usual, most of the commander decks I build, they're always a bit chaotic, on purpose. I like causing disruption with my friends when I'm playing commander. So, of course, this deck is not full-on enchantment. It's not full-on curse. The curses that I picked were very specifically meant to do something at all times. There are a lot of curses out there that, yeah, there's some effects, but you kind of have to support them with other cards, and I didn't really want to do that. I wanted most of the curses here to kind of stand on their own and just deal with whoever you're attaching them to. So that kind of answers the question of why these curses. There are also other cards here that help slow down people targeting you, at least in terms of attacks. So you have Imprison the Moon, you have Propaganda, and cards like that help kind of slow down your opponents from, trying to kill you out and stop your annoying deck. So of course I need something like that. But of course you also have your fair share of creatures in here to kind of put pressure when you're ready. But you could do a lot of damage without necessarily swinging in, and that's what I really like about this deck. Apart from that, you kind of have your typical, artifact package. What I really like is Crystal Chimes, which we'll get to in a second. I didn't put too much counter spells, permission spells, I should say, in this deck. I didn't really find a space. I kind of wanted to focus on other things. That's probably something you could do, but yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I think a lot of you will, since I am playing blue here. Now let's get to the synergies real quick. Now there is a sub-theme, well, I don't know if it's a sub-theme, but there's a theme to this deck where I like the idea of getting into a loop of gaining life and making your opponents lose life, or vice versa. When your opponents lose life, you gain life. So there are cards put in here, although it's not the main, point of this deck. There are a lot of cards in here to support that theme. So looking on the screen here, Sanguine Blood, Exquisite Blood, and all these other cards, they all have very similar effects. Most of them are, whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So, keep that in mind. But you also have some in reverse. Whenever your opponent loses life, you gain life. And then you could get into the loop there to ideally try and, end the game, ideally. Or at least kill one opponent off one shot. It's kind of like a combo, basically. And of course, there are spells in the deck that help trigger the ability. Like if you can't attack in for whatever reason, there are spells or curses that you could just deal damage to your opponent and trigger the ability that way, or to gain you life to trigger the ability that way. So that's kind of the cards I put in here. Again, I'm not fully committing to that combo, so it's not like I could have gone, I guess, more overboard, but I didn't want to. Again, the deck is supposed to be chaotic, effective, and mostly annoying. So that's why I picked these cards. Stuffy Doll, I said, you know what, I guess Stuffy Doll is kind of a great card to put in here in a Curses deck, considering just kind of the flavor of Stuffy Doll in the first place. So just a lot of cool cards that kind of come together, and your opponents just don't really know what to do, and that's exactly what I want to be doing with this deck. Now, there's definitely a need to have as many curses as possible, and since you have a limited number in your deck and you have a limited number of cards, you have cards that allow you to also clone curses. So, you know, Estrid's Invocation, Copy Enchantment, Clever Impersonator, whatever it may be, you know, these are the cards that are going to help you be even more effective without having to, you know, draw into your curses throughout the length of the game. Crystal Chimes is actually a pretty cool card. So for 3 and tap, sacrifice Crystal Chimes, return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to your hand. So late game, you could bring this back, and all of a sudden you have a full hand, most likely, and all of a sudden you could re-curse some other opponent that still survived previous turns, which is really great. And of course, your commander itself, Lynde, Cheerful Tormentor, allows you to recycle curses, which is exactly what you want to be doing in this deck. So yeah, that's it. That's the Lynde's Curses deck that I figured would be a nice little commander deck to have during Halloween month. Let me know in the comment section down below how you would build this deck, or if you have a Curses deck, I would love to see it, to kind of see the curses you've picked. But in particular, a commander deck that uses Lynde, Cheerful Tormentor as the Tormentor as the commander, because I kind of want to see what your different builds look like. And of course, as I said, the cards that you would pick over mine, because, you know, this is Commander. There are tens of thousands of cards you could choose from, so there are definitely some that I did not pick that you would. Let me know in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy my content in general, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. It really goes a long way to help me out a lot. If you want to become a member here on YouTube, hit that join button, which should be in and around that subscribe button. Check out the different membership tiers and the different perks you get at each tier. You know, I'd love to have you as part of my YouTube community officially as a member. And I think the membership tiers are pretty interesting, have some cool little features in there. So check it out. I would really appreciate your support. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, share my content on social media, watch my content start to finish like you're doing right now. It really does go a long way, so thank you for that. Lastly, if you want to become a patron, check out the Patreon link in the description of this video. Check out the Patreon Rewards program. In a nutshell, you give me money every month. I use that money to buy sealed product, which I open up on this channel, and then I give you back that money in the form of rares and mythics at the end of every year. The longer you're a patron, the more rares and mythics you get. Basically, 1 rare mythic for every month that you're a patron. And the value of those rares are anything really between $3 and $15. Some of them go even higher, as you know. So even if you average out about $5 per rare, that's $5 a month, you get your money back, but odds are you'll make more. Anyway, all that information is on Patreon. There's a video on there that explains it all. We really appreciate your support either way. Thanks, and have a good one.